let's talk. Speaking of which, let's talk about learning things. We're going to be bringing on our next guest now. It's Dr. Gina Anderson. She is the CEO of Luma Brighter Learning. We're going to talk about how adults learn, which that could help me out because I may look great on camera. Justin looks better, but I do struggle with learning. Gina, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here today, and you guys are stars. So let's get into it. I love learning. I love learning science. So this is an awesome spot to talk about it.
And let's talk about what you all do first. This is really cool. So I pulled it up here. When we're looking at a connected learning platform, safety, compliance, risk, human performance, those are all the stuff that I definitely should have filled out whenever I was working in trucking. Talk a little bit about your company first, and then we'll dive right in.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a connected learning platform and we're really focused on driving behavior change. So in the industry, most people think of learning management systems, but what they don't really realize is that we're in a time in our lives where we're the most connected. But in 2023, like the Surgeon General reported, we're the most disconnected than we've ever been. And so that is why we offer a connected learning platform to help improve safety, to reduce risk. And most of all, you two, it's to bring connection among all the drivers and learners.
Yeah, see if we get her back in here as well here. We'll pull her back in a moment here. Talking about the platform, it's really cool, especially when we're looking at safety training modules. And so that's one of the things where it's one thing to drive the truck, and then even for front and back office, it's a whole other thing to go through all these modules and continuously refresh and learn, which has always been one of the big challenges. Is it's like you learned it, you got it, you're on the road, but then you still need those refreshers.
Yeah, you get those all the time, especially at larger fleets. During my time at a mega carrier, it's like every couple of months you're back in the office, sitting on a terminal computer, watching 5-10 minute long videos teaching you how to drive safely during the winter. Those are helpful because you can get kind of stuck in bad habits, and it's nice to get a refresher every once in a while.
It definitely is, and we'll work on getting Dr. Anderson back on the phone as well here to hop back on. But I think it's definitely something where, especially from that safety and compliance standpoint, you have to send out like quarterly safety training. It's a never-ending, nonstop goal of trying to get it going.
Yeah, and there's no reason. I mean, it's no surprise why companies have to do this. Everything is CYA. So, you want to make sure your drivers are trained to the current standards. You don't want to be sending drivers out to areas where maybe they're in over their head. Driving in the mountains during the winter is a lot different than driving in the mountains during the summer. Constantly refreshing on how to put chains on. You got to keep up.
Perfect. Hey, we got Dr. Anderson back.
We are back.
Welcome back.
Yes, I don't know what happened. I'm glad to be here. So I heard you talking about mountain driving. It's so important.
It really, yeah, it's a whole other thing. And we were talking about before we got you back on the constant refresher modules as well. And one of the things I'm curious about, and this is something cool, is what is the most misunderstood aspect of how people actually learn? Because it does feel like sometimes we give everyone the same size of shoe, but it may not fit the right foot.
Exactly. Everyone's brain is different. And in fact, depending on your age, it impacts how you learn. And so most of the time in trucking, we're delivering content, but really there's 5 interaction modes for learning. The most underutilized modes are learner to self and learner to learner. And those 2 interaction modes have the most underestimated forces to bring about change in our personal and our professional life. But we're so busy delivering generic content that we can't change behavior. So I'm really passionate about helping all learners learn with all 5 interaction modes. And that's what Luma's connected learning platform does. We help individualize learning so that every person has an opportunity to learn. And that's so powerful.
And I like the 5 different types of interactions. Whenever we're working on that, I've done a few back in the past. Do you take like a little quiz to find out what learner you are, or talk about how you find the learner you are, and then how the modes can help? Because that was always my biggest challenge. Is some people like video, some are audio, visual, some can just read it. Dive into a little bit about how you all are helping customize and tailor that.
Yeah, so in fact, you may have a preference to learn, but that might not be how you learn the best. So you may say that you're a visual learner, but that's not how you assimilate and process information. So the idea is every learner needs to hear on average something between 7 and 9 times in different formats. But actually, what matters for information processing is that either you tie in emotional resonance, you make it novel, you bring it relevant to their life in a lot of different ways, because you need to hear it multiple times and see it and feel it and experience it. And once you can draw those associations with your current synapse and the way you learn, you remember it. And so you may say, like, I prefer to learn hands-on. That just means that you're more attended to be able to learn that way. It doesn't necessarily mean that you process and remember information that way. So that's the most disconnection. It's a myth in learning to say we have a learning style. You're not born like a specific learner. You have a preference to learn. And the first step of learning is having someone's attention. So if you think that you're a hands-on learner, you're going to be attended in that way more, but that doesn't mean you're going to remember it better. So that's why at Luma, we use all 5 interaction modes, and we use our connected platform to facilitate that on an individual level. And this goes beyond just generic videos. So for example, instead of sending someone a generic video about being safe in a parking lot, you can use Luma technology to scan the parking lot, and you can actually see the parking lot, see the hazards. So that's more powerful no matter what your preference of learning is, because it's authentic and it's relevant, and you can build the association to that parking lot before you get there. And that's what authentic learning is. So you're right, we all learn differently. I just released a research paper studying the different ages of brains, because as we age, you actually lose gray and white matter, and you start building cerebral fluid, and it changes how we remember and how we engage in information. So all of this is important to understand to be able to connect with learners in meaningful ways. And that's what we're really passionate about at Luma, is to change lives and to actually connect with people and make a difference.
I'm in my 40s now, and I'm feeling that fluid build up every day.
Feeling some fluid as well.
So what's
Yes,
Luna?
yes.
So what's different about Luma versus other players in this space?
So our competitors are content providers. That's what they do. They just deliver content in generic videos. Luma, we're a connected platform because we bring learners together to connect with each other, to connect with an instructor, and also to connect with content, but the content is authentic. So like I said, clients that use Luma can really bring in their authenticity to build this relevance to change lives. We also bring in psychology. I wear this bracelet a lot. Just because you know not to text and drive, you're not going to send somebody out a video, stop texting and driving. They already know that. But in Luma, we can use psychology and motivational theory. I've made a commitment not to text and drive, and this is my reminder. And in our platform, you can assess if someone's ready to change. Look, if I want to text and drive and I'm not ready to change that behavior, it's not going to matter how many generic videos you send me on stopping, texting, driving. We're not going to change our behavior. So we're able to bring in behavior data from telematics, from custom data from our fleets and people we work with, to tailor and customize these psychology surveys and also authentic content to actually change lives. So if, like I said, if you need 7 ±2 on average interaction points, sending one just generic video isn't going to change the behavior. So yeah, they can see it and say, okay, I did that, but you need to have a coach. And so somebody that can talk to you. And one thing that we're doing at Luma, if you go to our website, you'll see today we released a new paper on how to use motivational interviewing to talk to people. Because just because you send content, say, don't do that, and you start yelling at the driver, you're not going to change their behavior, right? So we want to share strategies of psychology and science of actually how to move behaviors forward. So we give education away for free, but we build this into our technology to help you be able to use motivational interviewing techniques, for example, with those 5 interaction modes so that you can coach behavior. And at the end of the day, the learner has to be involved in their own learning process to change behavior. If someone's not ready to change, it doesn't matter how many videos you send them. You have to know what motivates their heart and also how to tap into their mind and science to change their life. So I love it. And we use these little nuggets. Our competitors don't have mascots. This is Nugget. It's a little bit of hope, love, and learning. And Nugget goes around and shares learning and changes lives.
I love it. So the mascot is named Nugget, and it's the knowledge nugget.
Yeah.
It is. It's a little bit of hope, love, and learning. And honestly, everybody needs that. Everyone needs a little hope and love and learning, because learning is the seed of life.
And I wanted to pick your brain on the motivational aspect, because it used to be when you've been a driver, I've been back office fleets, conversations were never very positive. It was always very negative. Why did you do this? You shouldn't do this. How do we is there any for folks who are watching this and they're like, I really like this. I want to try to do some Jedi skills instead of Sith Lord. What's the best way to kind of start with these motivation? Is there any low hanging fruit, or is there any kind of tips you can give them to recommend
Yes.
it? Yeah.
Yes, I love this. So I was at a Cottingham and Butler insurance captive. I just left the TCA Women in Motion group, who's going on Capitol Hill today, and they're going to try to persuade people. And here's the thing that I talk about, and I wrote my book when I went to the insurance captive. I asked everyone how many people felt like a five, like felt really, really good today. To tap into motivational theory, you have to define your true self. So you have to start with learner to self. Most people don't. They start with learner to instructor, and they have me start telling you what to do. But at the end of the day, like we talked about yesterday in the Women in Motion group, you really have to start with what motivates you? What drives you? Why do you get up and do this every day? And having someone reflect on their purpose and why they showed up, and then having the coach use that and know how to talk about that with the individual, is really what we help organizations do, because most people don't even use learner to self. We don't spend time, and that's why I wrote my book, because I wanted to give science. This is science. We all have a brain. We all have the power inside of each of us to define our true self. And so that's where you start. And then you can use learner to instructor to really help move that forward, because we can't do this alone. So we need each other.
Well, I really appreciate it, Dr. Anderson. Folks want to learn more. Thank you so much for coming on and giving us some amazing info. If Nugget comes in a print or something, we'll throw Nugget up here somewhere. I love it. When we're looking ahead, want to reach out and learn more, and also tell us about the book. If folks want to get more information about not only Luma or check out some of your writing and articles, what's the best way to get that?
Yes, so if you want to know about Luma, go to lumabrighterlearning.com, our website. You'll get a lot of free education resources. You don't necessarily have to buy our connected platform, but if you do, you can change lives and see ROI. If you want free education from me personally, you go to learningwithgina.com. I published a book. I'll give it to you for free. You don't have to buy it. I'm not trying to make money off of it. I want to help change lives. So if you are struggling, I did a research study and drivers were saying they were depressed and lonely. If you're struggling, definitely reach out to me. My book is on my website. It's Thrive: How Learning Can Ignite a New Way Forward. I also have 2 podcasts. My podcast, I Love Learning, is to help people know that everyone in their lives have hurdles in their life, and learning can be the seed to move you forward. So people come on my show to talk about hurdles that they've had and how they've overcome them to improve their life. So as a community of learners, that's what Luma really brings and builds. And so if you go to lumabrighterlearning.com, follow us on LinkedIn, follow me on LinkedIn, we're happy to support you and build a learning community. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much, Gina. We really appreciate you hopping on as well. A lot of amazing info. We definitely got to catch up again soon.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much.